see in there and things that will work and won't work based on the commentary and just actuality. So they're now moving some of the things around. Like when we talked about, example would be moving the demolition derby pit, which they wanted to do, and we brought up concerns that that soil may have some problems with all the oil and all that of moving that. We may not want to look at doing that. They'd also put our storage building all the way across the grounds, and we know let's move it back over closer to the arena. Move that. Commentary on the dog park and its location in the back corner, moving that up closer to the fire hall. So we did about 10 tweaks to the plan. So we're looking at that, but not really changing the overall flavor of a combo 1 and 2. So we're excited to see that come back. We also want to make sure that we have 2 full-size baseball diamonds as we see increases coming. So we want to make sure design that, and commentary from the fair board on getting their trailers in and out. So through the grounds. So we talked about them of maintaining a pathway through, which they're coming back with 2 different options. So we want to see one where I'll wrap around behind a new ball diamond design on the current east side of the track. We're actually cutting between the 2 ball diamonds. So they're just trying to figure out the logistics of that. So, but giving them a natural way through where they don't have to turn around, where they can come in one way and get out the other way. So, so that's the major comments we had heard from the fair on that. So, yeah, so looking and still with the other implements of a new skateboard park, splash pad, which was a high request. And then the presentation will be after the summer to council on that. The parking pass program is up and running again with Township of Georgian Bay. So that's still open. And we're just currently working on RFPs for Bass Lake Woodlands Park for the redevelopment of the park for some accessibility issues and upgrading the pad in there. Any other implements, it'll go to a community process. So we'll hear from the community anything else they want once we get a consultant. And same with the property up in Port Severn and the RFP for the development of that as a passive park. And we'll go through the public once the designs start working, because we know what from the previous process for that, we already know what the public wanted in there as a passive park. So we'll create a design and then bring that back for more commentary. The arena, the ice and floor, is open for ball hockey, pickleball, roller derby. We bought new nets for pickleball in Washago and installed them. And we met with the pickleball club down there to talk about the season. We had to repair all the netting around that court from the ice storm. It tore it all down, so we had to put all that up before the season started. Parks, I've actually already just went over. One thing I will add, we have about 80 dead or dying trees on the Coldwater Fairgrounds from the Emerald Ash Borer that we need to remove. So that's going to be a process that we're going to have to get into over the next little while. So they're going to fall at some point. We get another kind of storm like that, they'll come down. So we need to look at that. That's not going to be cheap with 80 dead trees. So we're going to see what we can handle and what we need to contract out. Disc golf course, the signage is just being finalized, so we're waiting for that. And we'll schedule installation probably near the end of July and hopefully open it for August. So into the Washago Centennial Park there. All the flower baskets have been installed in Coldwater and Washago downtown areas. Love it. They're all very similar, so they look great. Provide some options for people. So our communications team did a really good job on them. Trails, as I said, we're almost there with the Utah Trail. We did get a grant from the Trans-Canada Trail for $15,000 for a shade shelter and bike racks. However, we didn't get the grant from the county of Simcoe like we normally do, because we're still working on the trail kiosks. That should be installed by the end of the month. So they had changed how their program works, where you have to finish one program before you can apply, which is something new. Unfortunately, we'll have to figure out how we move ahead, and I'll have to talk to Trans-Canada Trail, see if we can delay things a bit. So for the shade shelters, because they're quite expensive. I guess the other things are, as I said, the kiosks are going in. Programs and rentals. We've continued with all our programming that was laid out for the spring season. It got pushed back by a few weeks due to the ice storm and having the Washego Center used as a warming center, and staff more geared to ice storm recovery than getting the programs up. So we pushed them back, but they've all successfully launched. Great enrollment for all of them. We've had some requests to carry on the Tiny Fun Art program for the summer if we can, and possibly the Zumba. We're not sure yet, but maybe two of them might continue on. Our yoga instructor wants the summer off, so we won't be doing that one. But we've also have gone through our process of interviews for our recreation program or coordinator. We completed that last week, so we're in the middle of that process right now, and hopefully we'll have some announcements coming shortly. And the Trillium Foundation has fully approved our transfer of our funding for another year. They're supportive of what we're doing, which is great. So we're looking to get rolling on that. So lots going on. So I guess the one thing I will put out here that wasn't in when I wrote the report is, unfortunately, we have been turned down by provincial government for our $5 million grant for the West Shore complex. So, we just found that out last week. So that's the newest thing that's happened. So hope for the federal grant, and we keep going. So.
Okay, great. Craig, take us back to the passive park in Washego. Where do we stand on that with respect to the building, and then moving that forward to a passive park? What's the timeline for construction and giving those residents that parkland?
I guess the first step would be to do the design and get the price point as part of the RFP process. Will be price estimates on removing the building, the implements, washroom facility, shelter, those kind, get that price point and get an overall budget for the park itself, and then take that to council and see how we're going to fund that. So it could be, I wouldn't expect we're in the ground for another year on that. Hopefully we'll see where it lands. It'll all depending on funding sources and what the price point comes back for that. So,
okay.
So based on, like, a washroom facility itself could cost $200,000 so to put in. So, because we're going to have to redo the septic up there and everything, and then small parking lot. If we are demolishing the building, there'll be a cost to that, environmental cleanup probably from it. So, new docks. So, it could be 500,000 for a park. So,
okay, and we haven't necessarily decided on a building and washrooms and facilities, and with respect to that, we can make that decision as it arises. But at this point in time, we need a motion for an RFP to demolish the building. Are we that ready? Are we?
No, I'm not asking for a motion on, like, I think the building will sit until we get an overall budget plan. Like, we don't want to piece out the different aspects of it, one comprehensive project. So I think, yeah, we don't need a motion for that right now. It's just, we already have within the budget, we already had that through the budget process. That money was put aside for the RFP. So that's already been approved. So we just move forward on the RFPs and then come back to committee with designs, concepts, and go from there. So.
Okay, great. Okay, super. I saw Grace card is up, and then I'll come to you, Barb.
Through the chair to Craig, can you just clarify again about what stage we're at for the passive park in Port 7? I think I only caught a little bit of that. Are we still waiting for the proposal to come back or plans to come back? Or because I think the last time we talked about the passive park was actually at the open house at Raleigh. So I don't know what's happened from there until we're speaking about it now.
It went through the committee. We had a recommendation that the committee put forward a recommendation that it become a passive park after the open house, and then that went to council and they endorsed that. So money was put in the budget to develop an RFP. So that's where we are now, is getting the RFP out. So I think there's 45,000 in the budget for a plan to develop the park.
Okay, so then the time frame for that, it's like, is it going to be like another month or two, or as soon as they can, the company can?
I would like to get the RFP out in the next 2 weeks,
Oh,
by the end of the month, and then
Great.
it'll be up for a few weeks, and then we get into it. So I'm hoping we're working on this the end of the summer. So
oh, okay. Okay. All right. I'd like to kind of nice to know what the timeline is or what stage it's at. So, okay, great.
it shouldn't take too long, like, because we already know it has to be a passive park. So
Mhm.
I think once we get into the design, it'll come back to committee and we'll go to public. So 2-month process probably on that.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you.
And then, Craig, we haven't budgeted for demolition and rehabilitation of the groundwork. So once the RFP is complete and we decide on a design, and then it'll go into budget for 26.
Possibly, yeah. It'll be up. I guess price point. We'll have to have some internal discussions on where it's at and funding
Where
sources,
to get the money.
where we're getting the money from. Because it might be a combo of reserves and like maybe a grant. I don't know. I don't know what grants are out there, to be honest with you right now. But yeah, we'll have to, and how it fits into the overall corporate budget too. So, but it'll definitely be a discussion point for budget for next year.
Okay. Yeah. Great. All right. Barb, saw your card was up. You're on mute, Barb. Your microphone is muted. There you
Okay.
go.
Through the chair to Craig, I didn't know that we had kiosks going in, and I didn't know what those were going to be for the different. I know you're going to have signage and rebranding it, but what are these new entrance kiosks?
So if you've been down the Utah Trail, you see the current ones like right at the entranceway. They're sort of like a little cedar structure with our interpretive signage for the trail, which lays out the trail map and
Oh, okay, that's
points of interest. So those have all gotten old, so we're just replacing those. So
okay. No, I was wondering because to me a kiosk was something you could get in underneath and.
you could get a little bit underneath them.
Your
All
horse
right.
could put its nose under.
Yeah.
He could read the sign. We've done
It
pictures
probably
of
could.
that. Yeah, I've had pictures of that. Yeah. They read a sign, a map. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Great. Judith.
Okay, just a couple. You mentioned the docks.
Mhm.
I thought they were coming out.
That's going to be up to through the design process. We haven't taken them out yet because I don't want to take them out until we go through this process and talk to Trent. But in case we want to put something back in, so whether we move them a little bit, I've always saw as part of this passive park, you have not motorized docks, but maybe explore the possibility of smaller docks with some canoe and kayak launches on it that provide small craft.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Nothing motorized. Like
No.
we should be in that business.
Yeah, because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I don't want to yank the current ones out yet. Like we've had
Okay.
signage on them that
Yeah.
promote it. But until we
Okay.
talk to Trent and have the consultants,
Okay.
with Trent,
That was
I
the
don't-
one question because I was just worried about somebody starting to use them, and you know what it's like. They'll just take
Yeah.
them over and we'll be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one is the signage you talked about.
Yep.
There's a sign at Severn Falls, and I've had a complaint. Oh, you know about that? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that it's not just it's wobbly. The
Yeah. It's the
big chute is not 800 meters from the
No,
dock
I know.
in Severn Falls.
I know Tracy was looking into that. I don't know whether they
Oh
took
well. Anyway, as long as somebody
River?
understands that, I was kind of
Yeah.
I chuckled actually. Sorry.
Yeah. Colt and I have already been out to look at the sign.
Okay. And that's
it was
fine.
long.
And then the other one is when you talked about bathrooms there, have you thought about those stainless steel
Yep.
mobile
Yeah.
ones? Because
There's-
I don't know that they may be almost as expensive, but when I saw them down at AMO, and it's all computerized, automatically washes itself. They're using them as a pilot project at Wasaga Beach, so I'm very interested in asking them about it. And
Yeah.
because of the sand, right? So
Yeah.
the companies actually giving them a really good deal on this so they can
Okay.
see what they'd be like. But you know, like they automatically lock and then they wash everything off and then they
Yeah.
open back up and there's cameras and no one has to go up and open and close them. You just
Yeah.
use your phone.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, because our staff are so far away from there.
And it's not, and you and I both know, and I'm sure you'll hear this from me right now, is vandalism. We're having a terrible time at Washago Park. The kids are just vandalizing the bathrooms. And if you have something like this, everything is like stainless steel attached, like they can't rip anything
Yeah.
off. They can't wreck things. And if you happen to note, and if they could kind of lock them out or in, not very much you want them in, but anyway, I just think it's a really handy thing because sometimes if you want to get them out of there for the winter, you just take them out and you might be able to utilize them somewhere else.
Yeah.
I had done some reading, and then when I found out Wasaga, I was talking to the deputy mayor there, and she was telling me about this pilot they're doing. And
Yeah.
so when I go to AMO again, I'll get more information.
Right.
Because there's
Yeah.
one out of Montreal, like out of Quebec that I remember. It was a Canadian one.
Yeah. Vandalism's is a
Big.
huge concern
It's
too.
big for everybody, even porta potties. Like I've
Yeah.
got stories
Yeah.
of them flipping them, like, and I'm not
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
you know, but you've seen it in other
Yeah.
places. So that the people are really starting to look at these. And most of you may have been in those ones that you have for a wedding sometimes, that they're not
Yeah.
as fancy, but it just seemed to me to be so easy. They clean themselves. You don't have to have staff going in and out. It's all computerized, and there's a security system on them and everything. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was just another suggestion. Thanks.
Yeah. We actually had the washrooms in Washago were hit last week
I said,
already.
yep.
And they vandalized the hall too. They painted the back of the hall. So
No.
yeah, in between the alleyway, in between the fence and back
You
over the
know,
river. So,
and I am not a person who's on Facebook much, but this person told me that a woman who was at one of the ladies at the Lions Club hall had to come out because there was these 4 kids bullying two younger kids and trying to take their shoes and their bikes from them. And you know, I'm like, wonder if those are anyway, yeah, I
yeah.
feel bad. They seem to have an issue up there right now.
Yeah, we're going to look at more cameras there because they hit the angles where there wasn't camera coverage. So we're going to
Yeah.
look at a few.
Okay. Thank you.
Sucks. They're bold. We've had our cars broken into several times, and it's camera right over top of the driveway. And they just the guy puts his hoodie up and he walks around so that he can not be seen. It's really bold. So is what it is. I would imagine, Craig, with respect to the property at Washaga, will go in stages. So the first stage would be to demolish the buildings and remove the docks, and then we can decide afterwards whether it's getting enough traffic and warrant washrooms and so on like that.
I would say if we're going to do a park, you're going to put in your washroom from the get-go, like whether you want to. Like, there's no other washroom facility up there in that little community, so it's probably a benefit for a public washroom if we are trying to pull some in. The size of it and what you was talking about are clearly options, but you will want something in there. So,
and there's enough traffic to warrant it. Like it makes sense. It's a destination. There's
up
enough
that way, yeah, because we don't have anything really up in Port Severn. So we have like that property now, but we have a boat launch with a little corner property which isn't ours actually anymore. So we have to remove our chairs from it in there. So get them out of there. And our ring boy. So that's actually Raleigh's property. So, and it's also too close to the dry hydrant. So we have to move those out of there this year. Fire department wants us to get them out too. So this is like the first kind of community park in that area. And it's something to add. Like I think there's enough tourism probably up there that if we put in some kind
yes, there is.
In the summer especially.
Yeah. And if we put in some kind of little canoe and kayak launch, I'm sure it'll get used and a little picnic area for people because there's not a lot around there on our side.
Lots of people through the Trent Severn.
Yeah.
Great. Super. I feel we've moved slowly on this, so like to see move along. That's for sure. I mean, we had a lot of decisions to make what to do with it, and I think we've explored that well. But now it's time that we made a decision what it's going to be, and nice to move along. Wanda, I saw your card was up.
Yes, thank you. Just a question. You were talking about the Washago community property and the park and the washrooms. I
Yeah.
haven't been there at night. Is there automatic lighting that goes on? Like, do we have the motion lights for throughout the night?
No, we don't. So we just have, and there's limited cameras, only 2 cameras on the hall, and there's only one in the park, and it's on the water building for the water department. So it stares over, but it's not. Yeah, those are the things we need to look at. That there's like motion sensor lighting and cameras, because none of this exists. So we're not getting good shots. Like, and the vandalism, like last summer, there wasn't really any, which was good. But the year before, there was a ton of it. So it's coming in cycles probably, as kids grow up and get a little older, and ones get in trouble, and then the next generation comes along. So
Yeah, and
it's
I'm familiar with those kinds of remote park areas, and especially with the cost of the washroom damage that happens. Even couple streetlights in the park.
we have lighting in the park, but not in certain areas. So
Yeah, close to the washrooms where there's temptation to congregate. I think lighting has a lot of benefits as far as damage at night. Anyway,
Yeah.
just one thought.
Where are the police at on all of this damage? They've got their little warming hut down in Cumberland Beach, and I rarely see a car parked out there. I wonder if they, being as close to the highway and the liquor store, might be an advantage for them to sit in that parking lot.
yeah, we've let them know at times about the vandalism and things like that have happened down there, and asked them to keep a bit more patrols. They do, they don't. They're sort of reactionary. I can't tell you how much they're down there, or how much they use their office there in Cumberland Beach, actually. So, but they will pick up a presence for a while if it becomes bad. Like, we know the last 2 years ago when we went through this, they really picked up their presence, actually arrested all the kids that were causing the problems. But they had gotten pretty extreme. They had pushed a car on the railroad tracks,
Yeah.
and got.
Oh, maybe CN got involved. Is there anyone we specifically call? Obviously, they've been notified of the damage that we've sustained already, the washrooms and painting the wall.
We actually haven't notified them on that one because it was just so recent. So we haven't gotten around to it. So we're seeing if it's a problem. Like, we cleaned up the washroom, that happens. The paint on the wall, until we get some cameras, they're not going to react to, like, because we don't have any proof. Like, if we had camera proof, we would have passed it on to them. So, but we looked at the cameras, we didn't have anything. So all we can do is see if we have staff there now more again too. So we're hoping that will deter things. So
Great. Okay. Well, I think we should notify them just so they know. And that's as far as they have to go with it. Maybe recommend, we pay enough for policing in the area that no reason why they couldn't just tour through it. And I'm sure the residents of Washego would really appreciate their presence.
Yeah.
Great. I thought I saw Cheryl. I did see your card up.
Yeah, thanks. Through the chair to Craig, I just have a question around the dock beside Raleigh Lodge. So does the township actually own that land, or is there?
we own the dock, so the dock stays. There's like a little corner where we have 3 chairs sitting right now. We don't own that.
You don't? Okay.
Okay,
Raleigh. So Raleigh, that's Raleigh.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
but people will still be able to launch, or is Raleigh eventually going to say no?
No,
We're going to charge you.
We own the launch. Like,
Okay.
it's just a corner of grass where the chairs are, but we own the roadway and the launch. It's a road allowance, so that will always stay there. We put new signage in there. There's actually signage is on our property too. It's just this little corner where 3 chairs were sitting that is on Raleigh property, which actually the bigger issue is it blocks the dry hydrant for Raleigh. So with the chairs, so fire wanted us to get them out of there.
Okay. And then and just getting back to the Port Severn property there, as has been mentioned, there really isn't a park for the Port Severn residents. They end up having to go over to the Township of Georgian Bay, and they use that park. Would that be an opportunity then for a canoe or kayaking business to go in there? I mean, that's what I see down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't something I thought about at the time until this new idea came forward, or actually a bicycle, because we see a lot of cyclists come to the trading post. Like in the summertime, I see a lot at the trading post, or they'll stop at the Port Severn store. They'll go to the grill restaurant, or I see that would be an opportunity too for a bike rental. Anyways,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a comment about that. Thank you.
Great. Any more questions regarding trails, the Coldwater Park, the Washago piece of property, the arena that is now open, the disc golf? Wow, Craig, you had a huge report there. That was fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I do not see any cards up, so if we could have someone support the motion for reports from officials. D, accepting the minutes from the last meeting and the Cultures and Recreation Committee Recreation Director's report. Need someone to, great, Judith, thank you. Judith moves that motion, and a second is Barb, thank you. And sorry, Jamie, am I rushing this? Sorry, I don't want to rush you. Let us know when you're ready.
No,
Cool.
no, that's okay. I was gonna read the motion, but you did a really great job. So
Thank you. Okay. As long as everyone's clear on it, we can vote on it. All in favor? Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay. Moving on then to reports from officials for direction. This is the Coldwater Fairgrounds Master Draft Plan. Is this another separate motion that we're talking about? We covered your summary, Craig. Is this another?
That's actually just for some reason the system picked that up from the last meeting, so just ignore that's not part of it. So we covered that last meeting with the delegation.
Yeah.
So
Great. Okay, super. So then we are going forward to correspondence. Do we have any correspondence for information?
I do not. No.
Nope. Great. Okay. Jamie, do we need a motion for that if we don't have any? No.
no.
Great. Thank you. Correspondence for direction. I'm assuming we don't have correspondence for information or direction.
Nope.
Okay. And council representative, Council Wanda Minnings. Did I pronounce it correctly? Minnings. Great. Okay. Thank you, Wanda. You
Hey.
share with us the council's update.
Okay, I don't know if Judith wants to start and I can tag team. I have a short list. No, I'll start and then you can fill in. Okay.
She always goes first, Wanda. That's why I
Oh, is
picked.
that
Go
it?
right ahead and do it.
I'm just trying
I
to,
don't have anything. I see.
There you go.
What? You don't have anything to say? Give it a few
Really
minutes,
nothing.
Wanda. Just go ahead.
Hasn't
Go
been
ahead and
anything
deliver your
exciting
report.
for
I'm
her.
gonna
She'll come
go
up
with
with
it.
something. She
Okay,
will for sure
so
come up.
council normally doesn't have any meetings unless there are emergency meetings that come up through the month of July. So just as an FYI, but we are been very busy the last few months, lots of things. One of the newest items is automated speed enforcement cameras coming to the township. And we're really excited about that. I've had lots of good feedback from residents just about who watch the council movies, videos. They're the council meetings, they're not movies. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, they're on YouTube if you don't have anything on Netflix any evenings. So we're waiting now on the signage. So the community safety zones have been determined. Once the signage goes up, it will say that it's a coming soon signage, and that stays up for 90 days. It's a provincially regulated system. You'll see it throughout all kinds of communities as you're driving around. It's exciting. And there's information on the website, although it hasn't been formally launched yet, but it's already there and it's active. I've had a few people doing Google searches, so you can find it there. So I think that's going to be a really good thing, especially in the areas where we do have schools, but also in other areas. And more details on that. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Workforce Connects conference is happening tomorrow at Hawk Ridge. A number of us are going. It was hosted by the County of Simcoe. There was a registration required, but again, I think it's all part and parcel. And it sure is exciting from our delegate today. And Becky on board as our economic development officers. So I think we're all moving in the right direction around business and supporting business across the township. So looking forward to that. There's the annual Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference in Ottawa. It's happening August 17th to the 20th, and that's a good place to get information, etc. And the council does a really good spread of all the workshops and the speakers, etc. So we're able to cover a lot of information, what's up and coming at the conference. The Severn Fire and Emergency Services Master Plan is being refreshed potentially. Currently this week, and I think next, individual council members have one-on-ones with the consultant who is doing that for us. And just in the predetermination of all the preparatory questions we've been sent in advance, it's a really great opportunity as the township is growing, emergency services, whether it's highway or homes or forest, anything that our fire services might respond to. So this is just the first step in the process, and it's exciting that we're doing a deep dive into our fire services. And then the last thing I had was July 1st in Washego is a Canada Day parade. Normally council, I think we're all there, mostly all there. It is actually a pretty good day. So if you're able to come, I was at the duck race in Coldwater, part of the parade with Judith and Dan, who's the counselor there. And that's always such an exciting time too. So lots going on across the township.
Great, super. Wanda, I don't expect you to have the answer for this or not. Is there any financial benefit to us as a township and a municipality for those speed cameras? Does this go to the province? Does this go through OPP? Do we benefit from it at all?
Well, first of all, the first benefit is safety. And we had a conversation about how much the police are able to respond, speed enforcement, those kinds of things, especially in our school zones. So if you think here in Cumberland Beach or the Marchmount Public School. So those are first and foremost. And again, I'm not 100%, don't have it at the ready. Certainly something I think we could share with you. It's or at least share the link from the council meeting where it was discussed, because I think that's your best source for information, and I'm happy to share that with Craig if he doesn't have it ready to send out. But it's being run by another municipality, so it's not using any of our staff resources, etc. To enforce. I don't know if it's not seen as a revenue stream. It's seen as a safety stream. And Judith, I don't know if there's anything else that you might.
We will get a revenue from it. ESSA is looking after everything and they're looking after 3 or 4 other municipalities because they got it in first. So they have all the staff, they do everything, and then we get a percentage. And when the money comes back, we have a traffic calming safety reserve fund that will all go in. So if we need speed bumps or those wig wags or anything, it all goes into that, and it all goes back to that.
Great, super. Well, I think it's a fantastic initiative, and beyond the school zones, there's so many other places that can benefit from it.
Burnside for the big gravel trucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's only
yeah.
2 areas that are specific to schools, and I don't know if there's 5 in total or 6. I can't remember how many are coming, but the others are non-school zones, and like those, because we do have areas that people tend to speed a little faster. The council meeting was interesting because we all had just lots of different questions about it. For example, in a school zone, does the camera go off only during school hours and not during summer vacation, for example, or not during after, in the wee hours of midnight or something? And the answer is no. Once the camera's up, it's up. And the 40 kilometers is 40 kilometers, regardless of whether school's in or it's a school day or not. So, so that was one that I remembered. It was a really impactful answer to me because I really didn't know how it would work.
Muskoka Street in Washago, downtown
Yeah.
Coldwater,
Yeah.
Burnside.
Okay.
Yeah. And Marchmount, right?
And those are the non-school. Marchmount is the school one.
Okay, great.
Severn Shores and Coldwater.
Gotcha. Jason.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect. I just had a quick question about the speed signs. Do the municipalities put up the fines set at certain speeds, or is it just a generalized thing for Ontario?
I may be able to answer that. I did hear something on it. Judith,
if you see now, what they do is they check to see what the common speed is. So if the speed limit is 40 kilometers, they may say that if you're over 50, that means that you've hit it. But they won't tell us. No one will know what that is, so that you can't just ride it.
Because I have been reading some information in some places, and they've had it like set up where if you're 1 kilometer over, you get dinged. Where
we're doing this right now, Jason, what we've got is just to sort of get an average speed, and then they decide if, like, let's say it's Burnside and somebody's doing 70 or 65, that may be okay, but we don't want you doing 80 or 90.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they'll make the adjustment that the company does, but they don't tell us.
Yeah, because I have seen some complaints about where people are getting dinged, like even doing 1 or 2 kilometers over, they're getting $30, $50 fines. And our car tax, like they'll be off by up to 5 kilometers, right? So I was just curious about that.
No, but that's a good question. You know what? I'll ask Derek and Allison about that, because
a lot of people have been having issues with
the fact that we didn't want it to be too bad, prohibitive, but if you're doing 80 and if you're doing 70 and a 40, you should be dinged something.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what I was just wondering. There's got to be some.
No, but I can
like doing
find
one. Doing 1 kilometer over again, fined is a little silly, but if you're 10 or higher, I totally understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody hear something about there are no points? No points. No points earned on these tickets. So it's just tickets. It's revenue. It's a slap on the wrist. And Brenda, I can see your hand is up. And you're on mute.
Sorry. Yep. I was trying to get I was trying to get it all down on my phone. Just as a point of reference there, I moved from Oshawa, and Oshawa's had speed cameras for a while. The justices of the peace will not allow it to go through with 1 kilometer over because it's a waste of the court's time.
Yeah.
So it does have to be at a pace that makes sense. And our courts are way too busy to be dinging people for 1 kilometer over. So I can guarantee it won't be like that. In Oshawa, it's around 10 kilometers that you'll start getting tickets. I have many coworkers that have them. So just so you know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Well, it's nice having that allowance of 10. Maybe still be a lot in a school zone, but at least it's reasonable. Jason's comment is really accurate. Most people don't calibrate their speedometers for winter and summer tires, and oftentimes the wheels are different sizes, so our speedometers are generally off. Not off by 20 kilometers by no stretch, and not off by 40, Judith. That I don't think anybody could make that argument, but great. All right. Judith, Councillor
that's
Jude.
okay.
Deputy Cox, do you have something to add?
That's pretty much it. Like we've had we've had bylaws and different updating of procedure manuals and things, but nothing.
Where are we on the Coldwater Fairgrounds? We've talked about this since I think.
No. But Craig just said that it's going to come back in August.
Mhm.
He's going to talk to them again in about a week, right? Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll break ground when, Craig? When are we
Oh
going
God, don't get that carried
double the
away.
ground? Like start doing something. We've been doing this for well over a decade, and Grace is she's getting a little hot under the collar. She's had enough of looking at the sun while playing baseball.
Okay,
So
good Lord, he wants to demolish
things up
buildings
here.
and
Let's get
this
something
fairground done.
Grace is dying to say something, Craig. Can I put you on hold for a second? Go ahead, Grace.
Go ahead.
Well, just a quick question since you brought up the Coldwater Fairgrounds, Bill. Maybe I could, through the chair to Judith. So because we're going through refurbish or redesign of the Coldwater Fairgrounds, could it be called the Coldwater Fairgrounds and Recreational Park or Coldwater Fairgrounds Park? Is that possible? And I don't want to, because I know there's a history, and I don't know how it all became firm that it was the Coldwater Fairgrounds.
Yeah, well, bottom line is they lease it from us. Like the township owns it. They lease it. Yeah. So I guess if we did want to do more so call it a park, it probably could be a better advertisement for it. But I would think that maybe during this process that Grace, that's a good question to bring forward, or Craig could bring it forward and tell council, because a lot of people wouldn't think that it's a park if you just say, oh, that's the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
You know, and you're right. I never thought of that. That's good. Yeah, maybe it's something we could think about, but the Coldwater Recreation Complex. I don't know. But anyway, Craig, there's something for you.
You're welcome, Craig. There's a task.
You do something else, don't you?
No, it's definitely
a good question.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should be it's not being renamed, it's being reinvented or enhanced.
Refurbished.
Inclusive for everybody. Yeah.
Rebranding.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good idea.
Be rebranded.
I've been thinking about
that to Craig.
Great. And so when will changes start to take place in the Coldwater Fairground? When can people expect to see the change?
It's the money.
I would say once we get the economic, like the consultant's given us a breakdown of the costing of everything. So once we see that, and then I've asked them to give it to us as what needs to happen first to get so it's just not do this here, do that there. It's like, what's the plan? If we're going to start refurbishing it to this plan, where do we start? And what's the first thing we do? And then what's the second thing we do?
And we do have some private donors for different parts that have been recommended. So that might be a first step. I don't know, but we have people come forward that would like to donate money to make sure two different things are done.
Okay, great. I think we need to really try and push ourselves on it. We've talked about this for a really long time. If anything, I think it started off, correct me if I'm wrong, Grace, just turning the baseball diamond. And it was
even before then.
Okay.
The Lions Club did a whole thing. Remember, Grace? Was that 15 years ago?
Yeah. Well, I've been on the committee 14 years. So.
Yeah. So at least,
Yeah. I was going to say it's 10, but it's 14.
We're ready. Are we ready now? Yeah. Yeah. Well, other things took priority. So I guess, roads and things like that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I know we glossed over really quickly, so be very brief about it, Craig. We did not get the grant for West Shore. What is the plan now? Do we break ground? Is there going to be any kind of a facility? Again, this one's a little younger than the Coldwater Fairgrounds, but we've been talking about this one for a long, long time.
We're still on the point of waiting for the federal, because that one was a $10.5 million grant that we applied for. So that was a larger one. Once we see if we get it, that'd be great. If we don't, I guess then we go back to council and see where we lie with this, right? So, and go from there.
Is your hand up, Judith?
Yes, that was my hand up. Council asked to have a delegation with Minister Dunlop, who is the Minister of Emergency and Preparedness. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
And we may, what we're going to ask about is the fact that with all the different climate climate changes that have gone on, the ice storm, that storm up in Gravenhurst, the shutting down of Highway 11, we have no emergency center up at that end of our township. And that community center was going to be that. So we thought maybe we would go in on that angle if there was any money to help put that forward. I don't know if it'll work, but we thought, what the heck, you might as well ask.
Yep.
Got it. We will know on the federal grant when.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
After they buy all the airplanes.
Yeah, they have. Well, they're not passing a budget until the fall now, so
yeah,
I'm not sure.
So it may not be until 26. We know.
If it's that long, they may tell everybody to rewrite their projects at that point if they go that long. So I don't know.
Ugh.
Did they give a reason why they rejected, or did they just reject it?
They just say we were told there are 400 projects put forward. They haven't given specifics on why we didn't get it at this point. We haven't dug into that yet. Whether we will or not, I'm not sure. But there's many factors that go into why you do and you don't get grants. So,
you know, maybe we should dig into that, because I was talking to an MPP, not from Martin or Simcoe North, from Bruce Simcoe Gray or whatever it is. Anyway, and he said it was about the water intake one, you know, the water one.
yeah.
And he said, if you get refused, you should phone that government or phone your MPP and find out who to contact, because that's what Clearview did. They put in their first one and they phoned whoever for that, the Ontario Water or whatever it's called. And they sent they talked to a person and had somebody talk to them and explain to them what they probably missed out and why. So if there's something like that, we could find out. Maybe there is something that we're not pushing.
Maybe, yeah. I had heard today too, Aurelia got turned down for their project, whatever they applied for. Staff told
but
me
it would be handy if somebody would sort of give you that back, because I didn't realize they did that. When I heard that from I think it was Brian Saunderson at the county convention we went to.
okay.
Yeah, right now we just get a form letter from the deputy minister.
Yeah, but maybe if you go through Jacqueline at MPP Dunlop's office, they may have a contact. It'd be really nice to know what is it you're looking for, because we are shovel ready.
Yeah, we are.
And that's usually their requirement. And we also did a lot of green initiatives, right?
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure why. And we did a deputation of the Minister of Sport on it too. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we don't have any more to add, Judith. Council members, Deputy Cox update. Great. Well, with that, gang, then, Jamie, we don't need a motion to accept the council, or do we do a motion?
Yeah. So I just have a very generic motion here. It says that the council representative update be received for information. We just need a mover and a seconder.
Have somebody move that motion, please. Grace, and second, Brenda. Thank you. Great. And all in favor?
I like your sign, Brenda.
Fantastic.
Being classy.
Thank you. And one final motion to adjourn the meeting. Someone to support that motion, please. Thank you, Judith. And Cheryl Fraser to second. And all in favor? Fantastic.
Everybody have a great summer.
Yeah, same with you guys.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
Great meeting.
Hey, Cheryl, are you still having art on the dock again?
Yes, we are.
Bye.
When